It happened again. I've got my hands on another Peavey Red Stripe Bandit. Let's get into it. Alright, here it is, the Red Stripe Peavey Bandit. I'm going to give you a quick overview, but just know this is the third one of this particular Red Stripe model that I've owned in 17 years. I bought them, I sold them, I bought them back. This one I plan on keeping. It's basically in mint condition, and a massive thanks to my friend Brian who found this on the used market here in Melbourne, Australia. Let me give you a quick rundown of the front panel on this amplifier. So our guitar input is over here. We also have a low gain one if you need to use that if you want to drop the input signal. But we get a clean channel over here with two separate voicings. Now this is vintage for more of that sort of Fendery type sound, or you can go up to modern, which increases the low end response and just gives you a more full sound. Both sound really nice, and I'll showcase that coming right up. Just know if you're using the foot switch, you have to pick between one or the other. It will only switch between the clean and lead channel, which we'll get to now. So the lead channel gives us three separate voicings. Down is vintage. We've got the modern setting in the middle, which gives us the most kind of scooped mid sound. If you like to play metal, that might be the choice. And the high gain setting, which is now arguably one of my favorite settings on the amp. I think it sounds really great, and I'll showcase that coming right up. Another cool thing about this amp is we get separate EQ controls for the clean and drive channel. So 3-band EQ for both, which is awesome. The drive channel has a pre-gain and post-gain, so this is like the volume output for this particular channel. And the volume control for the clean is its only volume. So there's no pre or post gain on this particular circuit. So you just turn it up to get it as loud as you like. Now over here we've got our reverb control as well. This has a brand new reverb tank in it, so you don't need much with this particular tank to get a lot of reverb. But by default, if you're buying one with a stock reverb tank, then you probably won't need to turn it up more than about 4. But with this one, 3's generally enough. So yeah, it's quite a wet sounding spring reverb. Over here we get a presence control, and this works globally on the amplifier. So whether you're using the clean channel or the drive channel, the presence control will add just a little bit more shimmer to the top end globally. We get a two-way resonance control over here, and this kind of impacts the feel and the spread of the amplifier. So if we've got it in the tight control, it kind of tightens up the bottom end a bit. It makes it sound like it's more like a closed back cabinet, even though it's an open back cab. You can kind of look at it like that. In the loose position over here, it's giving you a little bit more spread, kind of reminiscent of a Fender amp, but both positions really sound great. Now let's talk about the T-dynamics. When I first reviewed this amplifier many years ago, I said it was a power attenuation control because that's what it felt like it was doing. But it's actually a compression control. So if we're on the clean channel, for example, and we have this all the way to the right, you're going to get very little amp breakup. You can look at it like that. Now, if we turn it all the way to the left, it's going to be more compressed and give you more saturation wherever the volume is set. It does drop the volume slightly because it is adding a lot more compression and that tube emulation. I kind of like this amplifier from 50% all the way to wide open. So if you want the most amount of headroom for using pedals, set it to 100%. If you're using the amplifier without any pedals, try it at 50%. It really does feel great under the fingers. The Peavey Bandit's loaded with an effects loop on the back of the amp, which I really like. I think this is great. You can turn it on and off using a remote foot switch, and I'll show you the foot switch in just a moment. There's also a power amp in and preamp out. If you want to run this into a desk or run something else into this amplifier, you can use these two over here. Now, while this is plastic and a lot of people used to ridicule these, guess what? It's still going strong after 20 years and it's nice and light as well. So if you put this in the back of the amp and it's moving around, it's not actually going to damage anything, which is really cool. And this is the stock 12-inch speaker. And yes, it's not labeled. A lot of them will say Blue Marvel or whatever on them with stickers. They didn't actually label these back in the day. I've had 3 of these amps now and they've all been basically blank like this. So it is what it is. Down here at the bottom of this particular cab is where it has the real spring reverb. This amplifier is essentially 24 years old and it looks like it's been in a time capsule. It's in remarkable condition. There's only a few nicks and scratches on there, but this is by far the best condition Peavey Red Stripe Bandit I've ever seen. Let's kick it off. I'm going to be going into the vintage clean channel with the volume up at about 1 o'clock. So it's up pretty much a gig volume here, but I've got the T dynamics set to about 50%. So we're getting a little bit more compression. It's a really great clean tone. Notice though, I have had to max out the low end to get the kind of sound that's in my head, at least with this stock speaker anyway. Here we go. Beautiful sound. Over to bridge and middle pickups. And over to neck and middle pickups together. It's a beautiful sound. Let's switch it over to the modern setting. Now we're over to the modern setting, and as you can see from the EQ, I've got the bass down a little bit more than I did before. This is a much fuller and sort of rounder sounding tone. This is neck pickup. And it gives you that nice breakup sound. And the cool thing with this amp is if you want more compression, you can turn the T dynamics down. So now it's at 1 o'clock, which is almost all the way down. Have a listen to this. You do lose your headroom though, which is something that I'm well aware of with this amp. I think 50% and up sounds better to my ear. I mean, there you go, right? To my ear, that sounds pretty great, but let us know what you think. One of the great things about this Red Stripe Bandit is you can match up the clean and vintage drive channel very convincingly together, and it almost just sounds like you've turned on a pedal or whatever. So it gives you a really nice full sound. So this is clean. Drive. Now, there's not a huge difference in terms of tone between that clean and drive, and I'll just show you one more time. Back to clean. But of course, we can crank up the drive if we need to, so let's do that. Let's bring it up to about 5. Cool thing about this amplifier, unlike a lot of digital modeling amps, for example, is the fact I can turn down. That's the drive channel. If I turn back up, I'm still getting all of my dynamics there, which is great. Awesome. Over to the high gain channel. This is kind of reminiscent of that of like the classic crunch channel on a Marshall, so it's not too over the top, although there is a lot of hiss coming out of the amp right now because it's cranking. I'm going to stay on my Strat actually, just for consistency throughout this video. If you want to see like a dedicated humbucker video, just let us know in the comment section. Anyway, let's give this a shot. We'll start on bridge pickup. Yeah. All right, now again, turn down. What a sound. No pedals, that's just the high gain channel, which is crazy. And lastly, over to the modern channel on the amplifier, which has the most gain, and it's also very mid-scooped. It's highly compressed, so we've turned the T dynamics all the way up to try to compensate for that. And I've turned the reverb basically off almost now. Let's give this a go. It's all bottoms and tops, that one. I'm not a huge fan, but you could spend more time dialing this in. Maybe run the low end EQ most of the way back to have it clean up. But yeah, the high gain one and the vintage are definitely my favorite. Let's wrap this video up. I'm going to talk about the Peavey Bandit Red Stripe and how it feels to play. So first up, that modern channel isn't for me whatsoever. I was really struggling to get a sound I was happy with. I had to listen to the recording. It's not great. It's one of those kind of channels that doesn't really work well for my particular style of playing, but you can probably make that work if you're into metal or high gain tones, if you like that really sort of scoop sound. But it does sound a little bit overly compressed and a bit solid state, that particular channel, to my ear. The high gain channel sounds unreal. I'm actually quite shocked how great that sounds. It's still got nice dynamics, so you can use your volume control, get it to clean up beautifully, which is always a good thing. But the vintage drive channel, if you play blues, is still awesome, and that matches beautifully with the vintage or modern clean channel. So you can set it up to go between clean and dirty and get a really great sound just by using the foot switch. So that's awesome. Or you could just live on the vintage drive channel and use your volume control. You could probably also do that on the high gain channel as well. But yeah, I'm actually really impressed with the tones I was able to get with this Strat. And this is plenty loud in the room, man. This amp really throws some wind. I saw some comments on one of my podcast videos talking about how some people were struggling to make these amps loud enough. I'm like, this is peeling the paint off the wall in here, even with the stock speaker. The stock speaker definitely doesn't have the same mojo as the Eminence Texas Heat that I put in my prior Peavey Bandit that's now living in my Marshall. That speaker is so good. It also sort of removes some of the clackiness off the tone and it gives you a fatter, lower mid sound, which works great for solid state amplifiers. I put a Texas Heat in a number of different amps similar to this over the years, but it's such a really great pairing. So I might actually get another one and put it in this one at some particular point in the future, because I love the Texas Heat in my Marshall, and I already did a quick test of running the second speaker output into the cab of the Marshall through the Bandit, and it sounded friggin' awesome. It was like night and day difference. So you get more headroom, you get more volume, you get more tone. It will just give you a better sound overall. I'll no doubt talk myself into buying another Texas Heat speaker coming up very soon. I've already started the search online looking for the best deals. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I might actually put together a video talking about how I think about dialing these in. We'll do some new videos in 2024 because I started my first videos on YouTube with an amp like this like 17 years ago. So crazy stuff. That was long before YouTube was even a thing, but I'm looking forward to revisiting this amp in a little bit more detail, and we'll try some different guitars on the next video. Thanks for watching. Catch you soon. See ya.